Welcome to MRII's Insights and Innovators podcast, where we talk to top market research professionals to get their inside stories about innovative and enduring best practices. Today's episode is sponsored by RTI Research. RTI Research is a market research company that turns data into meaning, so you can communicate your insights simply and act on them effectively. Now, here's your host for today's episode.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today's episode of Insights and Innovators. I'm your host, Stan Stanunathan. Today's topic is transforming the insights function in a large multinational corporation. And in other words, it's all about making sure that the function is fine-tuned and future-proofed to create positive impact on the business. Today, we have a guest who has not only been thinking about this topic for some time, but has actually done a lot for embedding it in Colgate-Palmolive. We have Christian Niederauer, VP of Global Insights and Consumer Affairs at Colgate. In this episode, Christian shares his perspective on how to take the insights and analytics function to the next level. There's a lot to be learned from Colgate and what they have done over the last few years. I'm sure we will find the conversation invaluable, whether you're on the client side or on the agency side. So, sit back and enjoy. Welcome, Christian.
Welcome, Stan. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Now I would like to ask a few questions about you. But before that, I want to ask your thoughts on the state of our industry. Can you tell me what is the biggest challenge facing us as insights professionals today in a world that is becoming incredibly complex and competitive?
Yeah, you're not holding back on tough question at the start. I mean, for me, connecting the dots is a big, if not the biggest challenge at the moment, because today we have so many different sources of information and new ones are added as we speak, basically. So that's why there's no if-then relationship between a business question and a research tool anymore, because you can answer the same question so many different ways. That's why making sure that you have the right sources connected together to answer the question in the best possible way is, for me, one of the biggest challenges currently for our function.
All right. Great. Thanks for this, Christian. I think connecting the dot is something that I really connect with, because I think that is an incredibly important issue that we need to address as an industry. Before we get into the details, why don't you give the audience a very quick intro into your career and your role today?
Yeah. Thanks, sure. It's not the usual FMCG insights career path, starting at agency side, then moving to client, then from local to regional and global roles. My insights career actually started in academic research. So after university, I decided to stay at university, doing a couple of studies there, and then also started working with a couple of agencies like GfK at that time already. And then also in parallel moved to strategy consultancy. And then I actually worked in B2B before finally moving to FMCG insights at Reckitt in 2012, where they stayed for about 7 years in various insights analytics roles, then really global, local, regional, and so on. And then after that, I joined Colgate in 2019, heading up the European insights function before moving to my current role early 2022. Where I'm currently responsible for insights capabilities, global programs like our broad brand health tracking program, syndicated data relationships, so retail measurement, the household panel, but also knowledge management and also consumer affairs.
Wow, that you have a lot on your plate, Christian.
But I also have a team for that.
Good luck. Good luck with that. When you're talking about your career, I saw a lot of similarities between what you're going through and what I have gone through in my career. This large multinational companies and iconic ones and so on and so forth. And we have seen the industry up close over a fair amount of time. What do you think are the 2 to 3 things that the industry needs to do differently today to stay relevant going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I would say really differently. I think just to focus even more on, because I think we do a lot of things already quite well, but the first thing that usually comes to mind for me is really proactive value creation. So instead of just waiting for briefs, we as insights teams, internally and externally, need to almost anticipate business needs and therefore then actively suggest strategic initiatives, answers, and so on. So we must be drivers of foresight, which has been kind of a big topic for the last couple of years, and innovate, almost acting as strategic partners rather than just problem solvers or order takers. The second one for me is again, kind of be curious and agile. So the business landscape is changing faster than ever. And so to stay ahead of the game, we really should continuously learn, experiment, integrate new methods and also technologies like generative AI at the moment and also advanced analytics. And last but not least, I think what has been a key topic for quite some while and where we still can do better is storytelling and simplification. So insights professional really need to master the art of simplifying complex data into compelling stories that are both easy to understand for stakeholders at every level and therefore then also actionable, because simplifying insights makes them cut through the clutter because everyone gets a lot of information on day to day. We have a lot of meetings, but it also makes them more actionable and ensures that we really contribute meaningfully to business decision making.
Oh, that's beautifully articulated. I think very crisp, simple, but at the same time, very clear in terms of what we need to do. Thank you so much for doing that. When we were talking some time back, you talked about how Colgate embarked on insights transformation back in 2023.
Yeah.
Within the world of what is possible, can you share a bit about the components of this transformation journey? What are the pitfalls that people should avoid along the journey, if at all they embark on something like this in their own environment?
Yeah. And that was really one of my first big projects coming to the current role. And the key milestone, without revealing too much secret sauce, was really the primary sponsorship of the Kantar 2030 work. And as you know very well, I mean, that was very much inspired by the Insights 2020 work that you led, and then also ended up in that famous Harvard Business Review article, I think, Building an Insights Engine, which I think everyone in the audience and in our industry is really aware of. So that was really the starting point. And then, like for any transformation, it's really important to talk to key stakeholders internally, but also externally. So partners, peer companies, and so on, because we really need to understand what do they need? What are they doing? What is the best practice? What everyone wants? And then it's really a team effort. So there's no way you can do that as a top-down exercise. So there's not somebody in global and saying, yeah, that's how we do it. You really need to get the buy-in. You almost need kind of a bottom-up, top-down kind of approach together. And once you know where you want to be, which we had then with the impact framework from Kantar, you also have to bring it to life. And here kind of a key enabler for us was our Insights Competency framework that we developed on the back of that. And yeah, overall, I think, as I mentioned, you need a clear North Star where to go, but then you have to also break it down to clear actions and track progress, which is also something that we have been doing for the last 2.5 years to really make sure that we are on track where we want to be.
So you used the phrase Insights Competence Framework. Yeah, that's intrigued me and it caught my attention. Can you talk to us about some critical components of this framework and a few tips on how to bring those frameworks to life?
Yeah.
You did that at Colgate?
Yeah. So the first thing is we divided the competencies into two main pillars. So one was called fundamentals and the other one future proof. Fundamentals includes things like solution expertise, ways of working, how to be most efficient. Also, ruthless prioritization was one of the pillars we had in there. And the future-proof competencies are really focused on the strategic influence and also curiosity and empathy. So how we can drive that, data curation, storytelling, as mentioned before. So the key success factor really on that creation, then also the bringing it to life, was that we work together with, of course, our whole insights community, but also then with our peer kind of department and analytics, which were on a similar journey, and most importantly with HR and our global learning and development organization. So that was really key, because then if you really have all stakeholders be part from day one, then you also know that this is embedded into all strategic programs and processes. And the key thing that we did for our insights team was that we have an annual self-assessment. It's on a voluntary basis. Everyone can take it. And then you see where your strengths and weaknesses are, also compared to the role that you're currently in, and maybe also the aspirational role. This also informs then on an aggregated level, really informs our common training schedule for the full year. So we do that at the beginning of the year, and then we set up kind of the set of training courses throughout the year that everyone can take part of. Some of them are recorded, some of them are in person, and really to upskill the overall organization in a very systematic way.
This is awesome. I mean, I like the a 360-degree approach that you've taken, where you involved all the internal stakeholders to ensure that things are not just beautiful PowerPoint charts, but they actually get embedded in the organization and gets embraced and acted upon on a regular basis, and also have a closed loop feedback mechanism. I really love this. Thank you so much for sharing this. You said, you've been in the insights industry for quite some time, and particularly with two large multinational companies.
Yeah.
In your career, being in the insights role, how have you seen the function evolve over a period of time? And from your vantage point, what needs to change now and in the near future? So first, how has it evolved? And then what needs to change?
Yeah, it's difficult as there's so much change at the moment. I think where we have evolved to is basically that we are really becoming or are that strategic partner for the business stakeholders, because we were at some point at a stage where we really kind of order takers, just like, okay, there's a business question. Now we find the best way to solve it. We still have to evolve from there, because are we sometimes still too reactive? Yes, I think so. At Colgate, in the whole industry. And that's why we really have to move almost from insight to foresight. So being more predictive and make that a focus area. And related to that, which also fits quite nicely, is also a shift toward greater agility and speed, because consumer behaviors are changing more rapidly. And insights teams also therefore must accelerate that process, because I think we both know, I mean, back in the days when you had a key business question, you said, okay, it takes when it was fast, it took 4 to 6 weeks. Now nobody has time to wait 4 to 6 weeks. It's usually okay, can it be 4 to 6 days or maybe 4 to 6 hours? So that's quite important. And that's why we also need to enhance basically cross-functional collaboration, because sometimes the information is already in-house, and therefore we just have to find it. So ensuring that insights are not really siloed and really shared across departments for a really holistic impact.
Okay, beautiful. So, being on the insights function, we all have this point of view that we need to be given the credit that we deserve. But credit is never given. It is something that you have to deserve, and you have to, it is earned, so to say. So given what we need to achieve in terms of the status within organization, and given the importance of consumer centricity, what do we need to do to get the credit that we deserve? This is a question that is keeping most insights professionals awake at night. What do we need to do? What is your secret sauce?
Exactly, and you said it. I mean, it's not given, and that's the key thing. So, I mean, for me, it's add value, as simple as that. So, like in our FMCG business model, I mean, you have to more or less create a pull for our products and services, meaning insights, instead of pushing stuff, because pushing is never really working well. I mean, it works for a time, but you really need people that want insights, want to involve you. So therefore, you must become these trusted advisors within the business. So that means demonstrating that our insights directly drive bottom line results or make decision making easier. So my advice to everyone, and also from my boss, Chief Analytics and Insights Officer Diana Schildhaus, is always put some points on the board. So really build trust and establish your network step by step, because then everything falls into place. So key here is to ensure that senior leadership understands the value of insights. And that's by consistently presenting clear and data and insights-driven recommendations that solve business problems. Because not just insight for the sake of insight, it really has to link to something for the business. And the more we speak the language of the business, or business acumen, super important also in our insights competency, the more indispensable we become.
So, the word technology, ML, it's like thrown around very liberally. What, in your view, is the biggest opportunity for insights industry, given that the world of technology is here to stay and is impacting everything we do? So what do you see are the few big opportunities that we have ahead of us?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest opportunity really lies in the combination of AI, generative AI, and predictive analytics. So AI-driven insights, for example, by using now synthetic consumers, respondents, or digital twins, can significantly enhance our ability to forecast trends and predict consumer behavior much faster and potentially even better than before. But the jury is still out, so we have to experiment with it and therefore embrace it. So I think sitting back and being kind of, okay, let's wait until everything is ready, is not really helping us. So we really have to be at the forefront and embracing those things, benchmarking it, and experiment with it.
Got it. So you're essentially saying, give it a try, give it a swirl, learn from it, and evolve as you go along. That's a perfect mindset to have. Not easy to do in large companies. So I really applaud you for doing that. So there is always a flip side to everything, right? Technology is impacting. So what are the big threats that we as a function need to be aware of?
I mean, I wish I knew, because then I wouldn't be here in my current job. I would be somewhere enjoying my life at the beach or whatever, because I solved kind of the magic equation. I mean, in the end, related to what I just said about predictive analytics and also the generative AI, it's that potential lack of human judgment at some points, because already when we moved into agile research methodologies, there was basically now the possibility to put everything in front of consumers. So you didn't have to do any kind of own judgment anymore. You could just basically ask consumers. And the same thing is now happening with AI as well. So while I fully agree that AI and automation are powerful, they cannot fully replace human judgment. So we have internally at CP, we have an AI council, and there we always emphasize that the human in the loop is the most critical asset that we have. So using critical thinking, our own expertise, our business lens, and also intuition on top of what automation, machine learning, AI, and so on creates is really important. And I think the second threat, as always, the big evergreen, is data overload. I mean, with the proliferation of new data sources, information sources, the biggest risk is just being overwhelmed by the sheer volume of data. I mean, insights really need to invest in tools and processes that enable us to filter out the noise and focus on the information that truly drives business impact, because otherwise, we will just drown in data.
Absolutely. And in fact, the phrase that I always tend to use is, my definition of AI is augmented intelligence.
Yeah, that's good.
Not artificial. Why? Because it is supposed to augment human intelligence, so that it allows us to be the best that we are capable of. Yeah, as opposed to eliminating humans in the loop. You called it human in the loop. I call it augmented intelligence. Christian, thank you so much for this really, really stimulating conversation, and I really enjoyed chatting with you. And all the very best on your journey, and look forward to chatting with you in the near future about to understand how much you've taken the function within Colgate to even greater heights. Thank you so much.
Thank you much, Dan.
Thanks for joining the Insights and Innovators podcast from Market Research Institute International. Click subscribe to never miss an episode, and visit us at mrii.org for more market research insights.